because your circumstance will change every year. Probably you are living with a family member now, or probably you're living not with a family member now, and if somebody moves in, then under the criteria, you will lose the benefit that you would be getting from this. So it is a good start that we have an agreement to provide relief, but it is only good when it's totally worked out and we can really see and measure the amount of persons who will ultimately benefit from it. Mr. Levesque is back. I hope he is feeling much better and up and running again, so he can come.
Allowing me to excuse myself. Another issue of concern to the National Alliance has to do with the 100% increase of LZV premiums. The people of St. Martin, most of the people of St. Martin, or a lot of people of St. Martin, are already living at or bordering on the poverty line. This increase is having a devastating effect on a lot of people on St. Martin, and they are finding it hard, really hard, to meet the challenges of paying all the necessary expenses that life naturally for you to live. You need to pay your GED bills, for example. You need to buy food. You need to feed your children, and those things are having serious, devastating effects on the already low-income persons of St. Martin, in particular those who live on minimum wage. And you must take into consideration that government has not done its share to ensure that many employers are complying with meeting the standards of the minimum wage. As we noted, some people are going home with even less than what is constituted by government as a minimum wage. And this is sad. But in addition, why did I bring that point up? I need government to reconsider the manner in which it has implemented this increase for the above reason, but also the fact that there are many citizens who are paying this 100% increase and they don't have family members or let's say dependents for a reason to be paying this additional 100% increase of the SSD premiums. And so on behalf of those citizens who have been confronting us, asking us to please ask government, and this is not a political statement, it is not because it is election time, it is because it is a very real situation confronting many citizens out there. And so I need government to re-examine how it has implemented this 100% increase across the board, because it affects not just those who have dependents, but those who don't have dependents. And I think that is unfair, and the National Alliance hereby is asking government to re-examine and to refund if necessary, to eliminate for those persons who don't have dependents. But what the National Alliance more so is asking government to do is to reconsider the entire implementation and perhaps reversing and looking for an alternative to bring the much needed relief to the people of St. Martin, because they are having it hard, real hard. And this measure is a real draconian measure, especially, as I mentioned, on those low-income families, low-income mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters. And so I hope that government takes this into consideration and reconsider this issue. Those are the two issues that I wanted to discuss today, and I will wait any questions you may have.
Mr. Contemplate has another issue.
Yes, in my haste to get out a few points that I had, I was at a very, very important issue that has to do with persons who are being taken out of the civil registry. I received a call about 10 p.m. at night from someone living in the U.S. And they said that they received correspondence through somebody else via email stating that persons who are living in the U.S. They will not be able to vote if a man is written out. So my question to the government is, and I'm sure there's a law in place, and again, I always tell folks when you hear something, make sure it is established by law, not based on hearsay. Because if this is what is happening, then is there discrimination taking place? Because there are persons who live on the French side, persons who live in Angola, other islands around. So is government saying that these persons too will be taken out of the civil registry? We know that it's election time, and very often I think they might feel that most of our supporters are from abroad, and it is also a strategy being used in order to prevent us from winning this election. So government has to provide to us, the people of St. Martin, first of all to Parliament, the laws that state exactly who and why persons are being taken out of the civil register in order, as they say, to clean it up. So that's my question about the government. And of course, I will put it in black and white in Article 63 to make sure that the question is answered. Thank you.
And on a closing note, I'm sure the media and through you, the public, has been informed that the continuation of the Central Committee meeting on the meeting of Parliament on the airport will continue on Friday. I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning. You have not been informed as yet? Council? That's what I heard. Council again? Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. That's correct. You see, so we got to end it. Well, the last thing I just got was an email this morning saying that 2 previous meetings have been cancelled, 2 Central Committee meetings that were to continue have been cancelled, and the one on the airport will continue tomorrow morning at 10. Because the issue that I wanted to raise was that exactly we were hoping that what happened in the past would not happen again, where you ask for documentation, you're told during the meeting, the documentation will be provided, the meeting is closed, it's finished, and the documentation doesn't come or comes way after the meeting. In this specific case, we have asked for certain information, documentation that the minister says in terms of policies, they existed. Now, in order for you to continue with your line of questioning and or building a case in whichever way direction, you need to know exactly what the policy is, because you don't want to go on somebody said, or it is rumored. Somebody said that this didn't go in accordance with the law, accordance with the rule, in accordance with the policy. So if there is a policy, we would like to get the policy. So here it is, the minister promised he would need some time to provide it, and the chair said the meeting will be convened in consultation with the minister. So if the meeting was convened, we expected it was in consultation with the minister, and then important, the documentation that we requested would have been provided together with the convocation for the meeting so that you can be very well prepared. One has to note that the meeting was convened giving members only 20 minutes in the first round. Unless you come and just read questions, 20 minutes is so much and no more. But worse yet, the second round is just 10 minutes. So if you get documents to which you need to refer and or build your case, and questions that you ask in the first round, and based on the documentation you receive, you need to question the minister further. 10 minutes is gone before you can actually begin. So there seemed to be more confusion again around the issue, because here it is, the chair lady clearly stated that the meeting will be convened in consultation with the minister, and now there already seems to be information reaching you that the meeting has been postponed. I will not say again, but has been postponed based on the convocation for it to continue on Friday. Talking about convocation, and they don't want it to, become again a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But you may know that I objected to the fact that the chair did not reconvene a particular meeting within the 4 days. The chair had responded, but I never responded to it, in which the chair said no. What the rule actually means that you need to reconvene the meeting. You have to send out a convocation within 4 days. Again, it is a matter of one playing with words, but as far as I'm concerned, it is clear, meaning within 4 times 24 hours that meeting has to be called again, not called for 2 weeks from now, but has to be reconvened, because a meeting that already took 2 weeks before you actually convened it, and if you did not have a quorum, you're basically telling members of parliament, I am not going to give you another 2 weeks, or in this case 18 days, because the chair waits on 4 days to reconvene and then convene within 14 days, or for 14 days. So this is one of the issues also that I raised. We will be having the rules of order meeting. Will continue at 2 o'clock, hopefully in a short while. And this is one of the things I raised in my first round presentation, is that we can establish rules of order, we can amend rules of order, but if the chair particularly does not stick to the rules of order, it would make very little sense to say you have them. And one of them that I think it is so wrong for us to talk about country St. Martin going into or in its 4th year now. And one of the rules of order is that whenever you have a meeting of parliament, as soon as possible thereafter, minutes must be drawn up of that meeting, and once the minutes are approved by parliament, they are signed by the Secretary General, the Premier, and the Chair of Parliament. Those, of course, go into our archives and are there as records of the meetings held in Parliament. As it stands today, nobody can come to Parliament and ask for the minutes, not a member of Parliament, but nobody can come and ask for minutes of Parliament, because they do not exist. They have not been made, they have not been presented to Parliament, and we are saying you can have rules of order, and if you are not abiding by the rules of order, and then where does Parliament go to complain? Parliament cannot go to the Council of Ministers to complain. Parliament can go to the Ombudsman to complain. Parliament can go to the General Order Chamber, or Parliament can even go to court to complain, because Parliament has to regulate these things themselves. Parliament has to live up to their own rules of order. So Parliament needs to correct Parliament, but if these shortcomings are pointed out in meetings, and the majority, for political reasons, support or play punches, pilot, and turn their backs or do not react because, well, we want me to throw my own chair under the bus. It is not a matter of throwing your chair under the bus. The chair is independent in the execution of the role as chairperson, and we've got to be big enough and mature as members of Parliament, as St. Martin, as the people, that if things are not being done properly or they're not being done in accordance with the law, that we have to remedy this. One of the issues that I pointed out also in that meeting had to do, for instance, with the budget of Parliament. The budget of Parliament has to be presented to Parliament. So the Presidium has the draft of the budget. and it goes to the Minister of Finance to include in the general budget of St. Martin. The Minister of Finance would make his comments or not. The council advice would make their comments, and that budget has to come back to Parliament for Parliament to establish, and that would then be part of the overall budget of Country St. Martin. But as it stands today, the Presidium makes a budget, and the first time we see it is when it comes to Parliament with included in the general budget. And who do you question then? You know, the Presidium is not providing you with any answers. Parliament is not in a central committee meeting, for instance, debating their budget among themselves. So it is one of those things that, again, needs to be improved, needs to work on. There's so many other issues that are not correct, and the rules of order are constantly violated. And it's a pity that it is translated into a member squaring off with the chair, or this one is having a run-in with the chair. I think if it is pointed out that the chair is wrong, if you want to call it objective, independent, impartial body, let's say like the media, would say, well, we have the rules ourselves, and our interpretation is this. But if it continues to be portrayed as, oh, the members of Parliament are bickering, or there's a member of Parliament who's constantly attacking, and then the chair hiding behind the fact that, well, because I'm a female, they are attacking me. I think that has absolutely nothing to do with it. If we have rules of order, we should abide by the rules and carry on saying. We are heading into the final stretch for the meeting, so we give the floor to those who want to ask a question.
Yes, one more. We look at the United States, or on the French side, or on the other level, that should be registered there. Look, the fact is this: if you live in a particular country, of course you have to be registered there. But what I'm confronting right now is persons who are living abroad, of course, still registered in our system. It appears as if particularly the U.S., those living in the U.S. are being targeted. So government has to come clear and say exactly, well, is it U.S., is it the islands surrounding, is it everyone that is living abroad? That has to be clear. You know exactly what are the rules, what are the laws that exist with regards to these persons who are living abroad. Again, it appears as if those that are living in the U.S. are being targeted. Another question about the SFP premium. You know that in the budget, the government has booked a revenue of $10 million from the measure. If you want to turn it back, if you want, where would you put that 10 million? Where would you get that 10 million in the budget?
Well, I have on several occasions asked government to consider a few proposals that I have made right there on the floor of Parliament. And one such proposal that I have brought forward, and I put forward two of them now. One, government has a lot of property on long lease for 1 cent and 2 cents. In 100 years, the market value of that property will never be generated by government if they continue that. And so my proposal, which I have made on several occasions in Parliament, no, I'm not saying sell all the land that you have in long lease, but I'm saying those properties specifically that you have on lease for 1 cent and 2 cents, put that market value, negotiate, sell it to the owners belong to them, and that money will raise millions with that to be able to subsidize the exit premiums. Another proposal that I have brought to government through Parliament is the proposal to implement a $1 or $2 head tax charge on every passenger that enters this country via the harbor or through the international airport, excluding the local citizens, residents of the country. With that, you will raise at least, and you include in the ticket, so they won't even feel it. They won't even know. I mean, you're not hiding it because you can break it down. But I'm saying this is something normal that happens all over the world. I can experience it in many countries that I visit, most of the countries that I visit. With that, you will raise approximately 3.5 million US dollars annually. With that, you can take your hand out to the people's pocket and subsidize the SZD premiums with another source of revenue. You can also raise money by a little $1 or $2 head tax on those that stay in our hotels, like in our hotels. This is something, call it what you want. Call it, yeah, an environmental fee. I don't know. I gave the name, but the name don't come to me right now. But there are so many ways we can raise funds. But one of the things that I want to be very clear with, it is not an open-ended proposal that I'm making here, where government, because you know government, you get money in, this collaborate wherever they want to. So I want to have very specific areas where this money that will be generated will go to. And so the National Alliance hereby, in being serious about our proposal, will certainly make suggestions to government, but if government is going to put it in the coffers and this endless bottomless pit, where you will never see the benefits of it, then it makes no sense. I want to also just dovetail a bit on what leader of the National Alliance mentioned, and it has to do, and I just want to make just one remark. It is so true because I find it such a pity. I think he did a wonderful job, but I think I want to implore that the chair, I am so offended by what's going on and the violation, the trampling of the rules of order. It is a violation of the rights of members of parliament. It is a blatant violation. I am offended because the chair must execute its responsibility in an impartial manner and should not operate from a political, partisan point of departure. I am offended because it's almost as if the chair is telling us that we're foolish and that we can't read or understand or interpret. As MP Marlin stated a moment ago, if the rules of order state that the meeting will be convened within 4 times 44, 4 times 24 hours, then that's precisely what it means. It does not mean that I will convene the meeting within 44 and 24 hours, but I will schedule it for 24 days from now. That's not what it means. And when the chair, tell not only the members of parliament, but you, the press, and the people of this country, you're foolish, then why should I not be right? And so my feeling here is that if we're going to work on these rules of order here today, and the chair is going to violate, trample the rules of order, then we're wasting our time. And as I mentioned already, the rules of order will not work. The paper is written on.
My question I want to direct to Minister of Parliament Marlin, as a former Minister of ROUMOU, can you tell me if there is a specific policy in place for GED when it comes to materials for civil servants, members of the workers at GED I'm talking about, and members of the supervisory board? Because I got information that the 3 members that were recently appointed, they asked for the highest type of phone, the latest brand of computers, and even other stuff that they're asking for. They got an increase in indemnity, which the other members did not get before. And just recently, just moments ago, you were talking about release. In Parliament here, it was debated that the people of St. Martin, since there is no longer a subsidy going to save and station, the people of St. Martin should get a reduction in fuel costs. We still don't have it yet. Do you know if there's a policy, and again, for materials, for members of the supervisory board, and managers of the
No, when I was minister, I never got into it. It was never there was never a reason at least for the year that I was there to go and question what let's say the benefits would be. What I understood from what I read or seen somewhere that the chairman his per diem has been, or his salary, or whatever it's paid to the chairman has been increased to some $4,000, I think it is. That I don't know, and we will then question the minister about it. But in terms of whether they're entitled to or they get as a compensation for being a board member, a laptop and a phone, I did not know that that's a standard procedure. I was once a board member of GDE, and as far as I can recall, I never got a phone and I never got a laptop. But these are things that are agreed upon, whether between management and the supervisory board or the shareholder representative. But I am unaware of the existence of a policy. It may have existed, but I'm not unaware of it.
Mr. Hunt, you mentioned
I love that question. Basically, one of the things that people fail to realize is that legislators are exactly that. That's what we are. We are there to supervise and to ensure that government, the ministers, execute their tasks. And because of the fact we are not sitting and doing their work, there are many things that we will not know unless we are directly involved in it. So this is why we are asking as members of Parliament, and I'd like to be the highest legislative body, because I'm confused. Because apparently it's the other way around. If you see we go in meetings and we ask questions to ministers, they either don't provide the answer, or they just say whatever they feel like, and that's it, because they don't support the post of the other majority members in Parliament. So, true, yes, we should know what is taking place. As I said before, we don't sit on the chair of the minister, and therefore it is up to the minister to execute the task, but we can also ask them, based on the complaints they get right now, to provide those documents in order to let what is taking place.
I think if I may add in there, because Mr. Hart just asked the question as well. I don't know if what Mr. Vanderplet is trying to say is coming across right. The question of Mr. Hart was more directed like, are you then implying that if someone lives in the United States, he should continue to be registered here? And what Mr. Vanderplet is saying is, it is commonly known that there are persons who are living abroad, surrounding islands, as far back in Europe. There are people, we have encountered people who have been residing now in South Africa, the people who are residing in France, the people who are residing in Curacao, the people in St. Kitts and Willow, Dominica, who are registered in the St. Martin Census Office, and therefore by extension are included in the voting register. Now what Mr. Vanderplet is saying is, it appears as if the government is targeting only persons who are residing in the U.S. And the question he is then publicly posing to the government, which he says he will follow up in in writing with is, government, how are you, in essence, executing the policy or the law that only persons residing on St. Martin need to be taken up in the residence register, and by extension, then the voting register. There have been discussions in the past to establish two things: the census registration, so you live here, and the voting register. Because what you have, students who have traditionally been going to the West remain registered in St. Martin and therefore are part of the voting population. The students, however, who go to the United States, or who go to Holland, or who go to Curacao or Aruba for studies, they're not, let's say, living there, they're studying there. In the case of my children, their bedroom is still in Catholic home, twice, sometimes 3 times a year, when there's a break or when there's a vacation, but they cannot vote. And if they stay there for 5, 6, or 7 years, they're denied that voting right in their country, while others who are living on surrounding islands hop over, catch the plane, catch the boat, come home, and go back. And the children born here, raised here, but only temporary, attending school somewhere else, cannot vote. So the question really would be to government, how is government intending to tackle it? Because recently they were talking about probably splitting up a voting register in a census register. But if information is reaching the member of parliament that apparently only persons who are residing in the U.S. are being removed from the voting register, then the question is, why is government following that specific route and not including persons who are residing in other Caribbean islands or countries? That is actually the issue.
If I may just ask one other question regarding the temporary measure. What is your observation? Is the temporary measure or just something that is long-term preventing the system? And my second question for you, you mentioned this morning about the person who be able to come here. But I think that's an on-point organization because an airport is the teaching as it is
Necessary.
That's the thing. I'm not a luxury. So that's not good. But my question regarding the temporary measure.
Yeah. Let me begin by the last one. I'm not going to argue with someone whether their airport is a luxury or not. What I was meaning to say is someone who can afford to have an airport can usually afford to pay their bill. But to go back to the other one, as I stated before, I have not read the entire thing. But if it is a temporary relief that is not yet regulated, because they don't know yet exactly which citizens would be included. They don't know yet, and they don't know yet. It stands to show exactly what it is. A political statement just before elections. An issue that I never commented on before, but if you can recall, several weeks ago, if not 2 months ago, so groundbreaking was done, I think it was early, and it was in January, I think it was. Groundbreaking was done by the Minister of Housing, Minister Maurice Lake, in Belvedere for the construction of some senior homes or some other project. I would challenge any one of you to take a drive down to where the groundbreaking ceremonies were held, and where is the construction? Groundbreaking is when construction is about to start. There is no construction taking place. From what I understood, there is no financing for the project in place. There is no contractor assigned to do the work. So it was sometimes the press quote us, and now we might quote the press. It was groundbreaking news, but that's what it was. It was no groundbreaking. So here again, it is probably temporary relief, promised news, but I don't think there's one senior citizen who would see his electricity bill adjusted this month, and probably not even next month, and probably not even 2 or 3 months from now. And I'm saying this because I don't want to. Yes, I want people to get relief. And when I was minister, I had instructed requested the management to look into restructuring the tariffs in such a way that relief is provided to senior citizens who need it, but also other persons in our community. We have people like my colleague Lavez pointed out. We have people who take home below the minimum wage. We have people who work for government as cleaners. They get 2 or 3 offices or whatever it is to clean, and they're taking home $500 and $600 and $700 a month. Now begin paying rent from it, begin feeding your family from it, and begin taking care of your personal hygiene out of it, and still be able to pay electricity. But yes, you may be only 40, or yes, you may be only 55 or 50. So you therefore do not qualify as a senior to get relief, but you qualify as a citizen to get relief. So either we put a policy in place that would benefit the people who need it, but not put a policy in place and tell seniors it's coming, but when you start to scrap, scratch, delete, change, modify, and scrutinize, there are 3,000 seniors, let's say, who think they will qualify, and at the end of it, there are 30 who would actually get it. But for the public, government is providing relief. We said no. And if you do it in a restructuring of your tariffs, relief can be implemented tomorrow morning. And seniors who need to benefit from it will benefit, but you could very well have a senior living in the home with his 55-year-old son or nephew who has a job, but minimum wage that he can't survive from, and you're telling that senior, no, you can't get relief because you have somebody who's 55 or who's 45 living in the home with you, and they're struggling to pay their bill. So this is not relief.
So are you saying that a political statement like making temporary, are you therefore challenging government?
I honestly believe that it is more something meant for political, for the political consumption and the political atmosphere that is being created at this point in time, just like the groundbreaking in Belvedere, that it was no groundbreaking, and some of the many promises that are being made that is not realistic. Yes, we are, entering the political hunting season, but we think if people have been waiting for so long, if you're going to provide something long-lasting, and provide something meaningful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and stay tuned.
Really, my question has nothing to do with what you just asked me after.
This is the groundbreaking there. Groundbreaking news, therefore it was packed to life.
William, I have an honest question. How can you correct my German and you can't correct some of your own national language English grammar? Because I haven't spoken German in 10 years, but some of your boys in there, it's not Louis, it's not Georgie, cannot conjugate properly. So before you correct my German, correct your boys' English. I'm not saying that. You have a nice one.
Okay, my dear. But if your English is incorrect, I will correct it.
Okay.
Your English is correct.
Understand
Not your German. Stick to English and leave German.
No, I gotta practice more because it's been 10 years since I last spoke German. However, you're not my focus. To you is, so don't get in my
we will
And anything. Okay then, I don't want you, I want the red ass. Get me?
Have a good day, everyone.
All you can do is distract me from saying Montero.
Jawohl, Kommandant. Du sprachen Deutsch.
Ich spreche Deutsch sehr gut, aber ich übe nicht. Verstehen Sie?
Ich will nicht.
Okay then.
Listen, we gonna fight for you to be in there. Okay?
Hey, you know, listen, I got to your last monkey ass talking, how you talking, really, how you do this. Can you? Listen, let me show you this first. Come on. Okay.
Do we have to see? Okay? Okay. That round, go put it together. Yeah. Cheers to that.
You have a nice one. I will talk to you. You have my card, right?
Yeah, I got it in me.
Okay. Because people don't understand my importance in harassment. Right now we have to return on review. And this is just one video.
This one.
And I got more of him. He's keeping this. He's keeping this, right? I got more. Yeah, but it's more when I was speaking here, doing such a stripping this. I got this. Listen to the conversation, look at his reaction. And YouTube going crazy with me right now. I got more.
Trying to frustrate the workers to the tune that
look at the view.